Good morning. Welcome to the circle. Circles that have no sides, no sharp edges, the shape of mutuality, the shape of equality. Welcome to this circle where we each have a place and we each are invited to take our place. Welcome on this Labor Day weekend. This weekend in which we honor the value of work and those who worked so hard for workers' rights over the years. A job that is never done. Welcome to this place where we gather on this very storied land, the land in which the Cree peoples have made their home for generations. We gather in gratitude for the customs, the traditions, the stories, the songs, the spiritual practices of our Cree neighbors. We gather honoring the Métis people of this land. And also we come into this circle with a commitment to live into the responsibilities of Treaty 6. So we gather in this time and in this place with one another and with those who will join us online this week. We gather with our song, a song of praise for all that is sacred. We sing ourselves into this circle. Honoring the wisdom of the Buddhist tradition, which teaches us so much about mindfulness. In our invitation to gather this morning, we share these words from Thich Nhat Hanh, and we share them with each other responsively. Our true home is in the present moment. The miracle is not to walk on water. To appreciate the peace and harmony that's available now. and within us, in our bodies and our spirits.
We come to this circle so grateful for light. The light that shines at the center of our solar system, reflected in our night sky, source of life and energy. But that's only one light. We're grateful for the light that shines in the lives of those past and present. But that's just another light. We're also grateful for the light that shines in each of us as we recognize the connections in and between us, that which unites us, not just in this room, in this community, in this country, but across all lands. We're grateful for this lighted candle on our table because it reminds us to live lives that brighten in all that we do and in all that we say. Reminds us of what's important to us, what we've declared to be valuable in our lives. And we're grateful for this symbol in our center that focuses us, that draws us toward all that's sacred and meaningful in life, that draws us to one another and helps us to maintain our attention and our intention. So as we light this candle, we do so in gratitude. Let's strengthen our intentions with one another as we share these words together. We pause as we breathe deeply in this moment, this light, this miracle that is now. Beneath our worries and preoccupations, in the midst of disturbing events and urgent cries, may we be attentive to the goodness of life, to the grace of what is possible for us to be, to do, to give, to receive. May we release our burdensome expectations, shriveling anxieties, and dead certainties, to be softened by silence, surrounded by light, and open to the joy that seeks us. May it be so. This is a poem by Mary Oliver entitled Mockingbirds. This morning, 2 mockingbirds in the green field were spinning and tossing the white ribbons of their songs into the air. I had nothing better to do than to listen. I mean this seriously. In Greece a long time ago, an old couple opened their door to 2 strangers who were, it soon appeared, not men at all, but gods. It's my favorite story, how the old couple had almost nothing to give but their willingness to be attentive. And for this alone, the gods loved them and blessed them. When the gods rose out of their mortal bodies like a million particles of water from a fountain, the light swept into all the corners of the cottage, and the old couple, shaken with understanding, bowed down. But still they asked for nothing beyond the difficult life which they had already. And the gods smiled as they vanished, clapping their great wings. Wherever it was I was supposed to be this morning, whatever it was I said I would be doing, I was standing at the edge of the field. I was hurrying through my own soul, opening its dark doors. I was leaning out. I was listening. This is an invitation to be present to what is. May we find wisdom for our living. We hear wisdom now from an ancient Christian text, from the writings, the book of Luke, chapter 10. Jesus entered a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at Jesus' feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks, so she came to Jesus and asked, "Master, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But Jesus answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." That's an ancient story passed down to us from the Jesus tradition. May we find wisdom in our living. Deep and still, holy is the silence. Prayers are set aside for a time. Sacred is the hush, falls upon us, and calls upon us to listen. Listen. Of truth deep and still, holy in the silence, within us and around us now.
Have you ever wished that life had some of the functions of a DVD? You know, that you could pause in certain places and stay with that frame for a long time. Or that you could rewind life and catch something you missed, or we could fast forward it and see what's coming next. But as far as I can tell, life doesn't come with a remote control. There's no function that lets us go back and replay a part we missed because we weren't paying attention, or we were distracted, or preoccupied, or caught up in our anxieties and our worries, and that moment passed us by. Not to mention the times we missed altogether because we were doing 101 other things. And there are those times in life that we wish would never end, that we could just hang on to and savor forever. And there are those other times in life we just want to get through them. I have a friend whose aging mother began to prepare and serve dinner earlier and earlier every day, and her husband complained about it, and she said, "I just want to get it over with." I truly get that. Why is it that one of the hardest things to do in life is just to show up and be in the present? We've made distracted driving an offense. But what about the greater offense of distracted living? I'm sure there are times that all of us need someone to turn on a siren and pull us over and call us out of the dangers of our distractions. We need someone to remind us that we're in danger of missing the party. We need someone to invite us back to life. And although he doesn't sound like much of an ally at first blush, I think Martha needed a friend like Jesus. We love to rag on Martha. Preachers point fingers at her all the time. We love to single her out as the bad sister who was just too busy. And we love to elevate Mary as the good sister who hung on Jesus' every word. But the truth is, the world depends on Marthas. Social movements depend on activists like Marthas. Churches are built on the labor of Marthas. The chairs don't yet set themselves up. And the coffee machine we call the coffee maker is hardly the coffee maker. And the grass doesn't yet cut itself, and the toilets and urinals don't fix themselves. So how can you not love Martha? She's knocking herself out to be a good hostess, and despite her best efforts, she gets scolded by the guest of honor. How is it that Mary has chosen a better thing than to feed people who are hungry? And how is it that Mary even had a choice to do something so unconventional as to sit as a student at the feet of this unorthodox rabbi? How could it be a good thing to reject the role assigned to her by her gender in first century Mediterranean culture and insert herself into a situation that would have ordinarily rejected her? Even though no one has ever accused me of being a domestic goddess, I truly get Martha. Don't you? I often feel like a Windows environment with too many programs running at once. Too many windows open on my desktop, too many things competing for my attention. Martha's trying to get a meal ready. We all know what that's like. You have to do several things at once if you're going to have everything be ready all at the same time. It would be a whole lot easier if her sister would get off her duff and help her. When we meet her in the world of this story, Martha is trying to recruit an ally. Teacher, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. She seeks an advocate in her friend Jesus in what must have been a long-standing tension with her sister. Martha lived in the real world of demanding relationships and responsibilities. She knew that life was labor, and there was no Labor Day weekend to honor the value of her work. Her day was filled from beginning to end with the duties of the domestic. The storyteller tells us it was Martha's home. It wasn't her father's house or her brother's house. It wasn't even the house she shared with her sister. This was Martha's home. It was her house. She was the one with all the responsibility. There was food to prepare, and water to carry, and a home to manage. And she criticizes Mary for leaving her to do all the work. Maybe it's the sidelong glance of envy we hear in Martha's tone. Maybe she too would rather be in the conversation than be in the kitchen. But Martha is captive to what has to be done and attempting to meet the expectations of her time. And she has the burden of a house and a home. And Mary seems to be free of those obligations. And in this moment in which we meet them, Mary is absorbed in the work of listening deeply. In that moment, she is completely absorbed in what she's doing. Martha isn't. Her energies are fragmented by frustration. She's anxious and distracted. Maybe she's even envious or angry. And she's clearly focused on the behavior of someone else. She's not absorbed in what she's doing. She isn't even close to enjoying what she's doing. But can the teacher really be suggesting that there's no value in what Martha's doing? That Martha isn't doing a good thing? He must be hoping someone was going to get dinner ready. Surely he who is of no fixed address must have valued hospitality. He's couch surfing all the time. And how many friends does he have like Martha that you can just drop in on with a dozen of your closest buddies and expect dinner? Surely this one who taught others to love and serve one another would recognize and value and celebrate the generosity of Martha's home. After all, according to the writer of Luke, in the way in which Luke has edited his work, he has just had Jesus finish honoring the Samaritan for his action, not for his contemplation, for his service to a stranger. He's told his lawyer friend, go and do likewise. Go and do like that Samaritan just did. He didn't suggest to that student that he go and pray for the injured of the world, or go and learn more about the plight of the sick, or go and form a task group or a committee and learn more about what could be done. He told the one who wanted to live to go and do. And now he seems to commend this stationary student, Mary, for coming and doing not a damn thing. Just coming and sitting at his feet. So what's the better thing? What is this better thing he speaks of, and how do we find it? Maybe Martha would have rather sat and listened too. She doesn't have that luxury. Someone's arrived at her doorstep with an entire baseball team of friends. Maybe she would have liked to have been in the conversation in the living room, but she's captive to the work that has to be done in the kitchen. Or maybe she even loved the Martha Stewart role and thought Mary should too. But what's being affirmed in this story? Is the teacher really suggesting that Martha should take off her apron and sit down and let dinner make itself? Is he commending Mary for letting the dishes pile up and not break a nail? Why doesn't he suggest that Mary, or one of those guys that have heard his stories 100 times before, get up and go in the kitchen and see what they can do to help? It's a good thing to make dinner. And it's a good thing to listen deeply when someone is speaking. But it's an even better thing when we're present to whatever we're doing. It's an even better thing when we consent to be where we are, and we consent to be in the task we're in, and we consent to be in the moment we're in. Perhaps the teaching here is that when we are what we do, we're doing the better thing. Maybe we're even doing the best thing. When we show up and consent to the task we've chosen or the task that has chosen us, we've chosen the better thing. To choose the better thing isn't about choosing meditation over eating or studying over baking or reading over cooking. To choose the best thing is to give our consent to be where we are, to show up, to be present, to be like that old couple that opened their door to two strangers, to be like that old couple who had almost nothing to give but their willingness to be attentive, their willingness to show up, to come out to their own lives, to listen to their lives, to keep their appointment with time. And maybe it requires of us, if we're going to do the better thing in life, to name our needs in healthy ways. Couldn't Martha have said, Mary, I need you to help me in the kitchen for a while? Couldn't they have said, Martha, why don't you join us? Dinner can wait. Why don't we all do it together? Why don't we all have our cake and eat it too? It's truly difficult to give our undivided attention to the moment we're in. And it doesn't just happen. It takes practice to show up, to keep our appointment with time, to baptize the drudgery of duty and the chokehold of chores with a sense of inherent holiness. It takes practice. To infuse the mundane and the terrifying with a sense of meaning and purpose, it takes practice. And it takes practice to know and name our needs in honest ways and in direct ways, rather than trying to recruit someone else to name what we need. It takes practice to give ourselves to the tasks at hand. It takes practice to come to that deeper level of knowing ourselves as spiritual beings, gifted with life, but never forced to live. So this is our moment to think about how we're going to practice just showing up.
at the center, where a table is set and where we can celebrate our belonging.
Where we're invited to move past our distractions, to be present to this moment, recognizing that the past and the future are wrapped together intimately, but they exist in this present moment.
In this moment, may we be open to the gifts of a simple meal, where a loaf of bread harvested and baked yesterday is enjoyed and celebrated today, giving strength and hope for tomorrow.
So we're invited to be present to this moment, where juice might tingle across our taste buds to remind us that we can, with patience and diligence, transform the bitterness and crushed moments of the past into a sweetness, better for being shared with one another.
We come to this table to pause in gratitude, to give space to our questions, to focus our attention, and to be fed by the bread and cup that invites us just to be.
As households and spiritual communities have done, as the Jesus tradition has preserved, as communities of friends and neighbors will always do, we break this bread and share this cup as a celebration of the sacredness of life in this very moment, and the wonder of a shared and safe community that together pause to savor the journey and focus our lives on what's truly important.
No matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, no matter if you're a member of this church or any church, no matter if you've been at this table countless times or this is your first invitation, you are welcome here. This is a place to pause in our gratitude amid life's questions, amid life's busyness, a celebration of our connection to each other and to all of life, and we are all welcome.
And so we're all invited to this table that's not a table about believing, it's a table about belonging. And there's a place for you, and there's a place for me. There's a place for each of us that is a place of welcome. So come and share bread that feeds us on the journey, and a cup that reminds us of the value we have in community. This is bread for the journey. This is the cup of community. Come, share at this table with us. Over these summer months, we've been sharing words patterned after the prayer of Jesus as it has come down to us in our tradition, and framing it in 21st century language and imagery. And so I invite us this day to offer these words with one another. We embrace the sacredness of life with awe and reverence, and we commit ourselves to work for a more fair and just world. We seek to live with deep intention, that all may have enough for today. May we let go of all the guilt and regret that encumbers us, and embrace relationships of trust, offering and receiving forgiveness as a way to freedom. May we live examined lives, inspired to find meaning and purpose in our living, working to transform every challenge into an opportunity to grow and thrive. May it ever be so.
Now is our opportunity to do and to act as community, which is to say, to support one another and support the work we do, and to support the presence of who we are and what we do in the broader community. That financial support goes to fund our programs and our work together, but it also goes across the globe to work with our partners through the United Church Mission and Service Fund. Of course, giving finances is not the only way we give. And so this time is also a celebration of the lives we live, the things we do, the friends we have, the care that we offer to our world and to the people we know. This is a time to celebrate all the ways we give of ourselves. Let's do it now. In our full and busy lives, it is easy to go from one task to another without pause, without time. And so we go today with the reminder that we take this light with us. We take this light as a reminder that we can be. We can simply be in whatever we do. That we can bring with us a sense of purpose and attention to all of our living. And that in that attention we will find our being. May we go with a sense of life and purpose. May we go to simply be.